All right. Somebody help me out here because I don't have two screens. What minutes are we approving?
September 9th,
June.
June 9th.
June 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't meet
She
in
has the
July.
10th down here.
She's the 10th. Well, we didn't meet in July and August. That I know. So we're looking at the June minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or concerns?
I move that we accept the minutes as printed.
Who is that? Who just made the move?
Terry.
Jerry.
Seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. I'll call the vote. All those in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye.
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 Any opposition or abstentions? Hearing none, the minutes have passed. The next thing on our agenda is the director's report, as always. So Vicki, do you want to give us a verbal report?
Thank you. It's really nice to see everybody for a change. All get together and try not to take a lot of time. I sent you stuff last month, so there's a big report last month, and there's also some things from the Columbia County Library Association and the Board of Supervisors. So also we're back to wearing masks in the library, and my email has a little problem. I don't know what it is. We've reinstalled it once. So if you think that it's, I'm not getting something that you've sent me, or you're not, just get back in touch with me. You all have my phone number anyways, and you can always do that. So I did want to, I'm just going to throw this out there. I had a friend die and I just found out about it. So we don't need to talk about it. I know it's hard and everybody's gonna, all that sort of stuff. I'm a little scattered, so it's, related to that.
Take your time, Vicki. Take your time.
Or maybe I'm always scattered. Anyways, Craig Reardon has given his notice. 2 weeks. He is, he was going for his library degree and he needed to do work study for that. He has another job in addition to this one. And what he said was, it pays twice as much and it requires half as much work. So wasn't much of a choice for him. So he had to take that time for his work study. I'm going to put here in a few minutes a couple things into the chat box. And one of them will be the job description. And I hope that you guys could, pass it out or pass it around, or I can email these things to you. Maybe I'll email them. That's easier because otherwise you'd have to take it and save it. So.
That sounds good, Vicki, because once this Zoom session is over, the chat box disappears.
Right. Okay. All right. So I'll just do them that way.
Vicki, how would you describe Craig's position? Just
a clerk, library clerk, and / publicity. Part-time library. Well, I guess I did it publicity / clerk, library clerk.
okay, thanks.
Got to have some really strong computer skills and strong writing skills.
Yep. So everybody should take that job description and think about who they might disseminate it to. I'm assuming that
Sorry.
very cheerful ringtone, Dottie.
Okay, thanks.
And Vicki, I'm assuming that you've shared this with the Mid-Hudson Library System already.
Yeah.
And are you able to share it with the Library Sciences program at SUNY?
I haven't yet, and Nyla is going to be the other place.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It would be nice to have someone who lived closer around, who I could share some more responsibility with. And I mean, when we talk about budget and stuff, I know Christie will start doing that soon. You know, maybe have some other ideas about making some little flexibility, some other things change a little bit. So, but I
Okay.
would love to find, I mean, there's got to be good qualified people for what we need around here. Okay, I have 2 letters that were given to me by Leonora Scarpinato, who's a member of the ELIC committee, and she asked for the Zoom link and then said she couldn't make it, and then brought me in these 2 letters that she would like me to read. You want me to do that now?
Sure.
Okay,
Do you know?
and I'll also just email them to you, but I'll go through it quick. One of them she sent to you, Rick, you know, a few years back, 2018, I think, and I'm not going to read that one. I'm writing on behalf of the memoir writing group that meets in the North Chatham Free Library on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays of each month. Our group of 10 members has been meeting in the downstairs room of the library for the last 6 years. The library is a central and convenient location for all of us. We are senior citizens and have noticed over the last few years, as we get older, it is becoming difficult for several of us to easily manage the stairs to our downstairs meeting place. We discussed the problem, and the only things we come up with is for some of us to miss meetings or to find another place to meet. The memoir writing group is a direct result of an ELIC program we had all attended, and we feel a connection to the library. If we can, we would like to continue to meet there. This is not a problem for just our group. The downstairs room is used by others on a regular basis, as well as for ELIC programs and the book sale and the library's annual Books, Blooms, and Brunch fundraiser. Some people with mobility issues find the stairs too difficult to navigate and are unable to attend events downstairs in their library. We hope something can be done to make the room accessible to all. Access to the main floor of the library is excellent. The ramp with railings and the added metal grids have made it safe and easy to navigate. Could another ramp be constructed to the outside entrance of the downstairs room as another way to reach it, which would make it handicapped accessible as well? Would it be possible to have a chairlift along the inside stairs? The North Chatham Free Library is truly a gem. Its dedicated staff and volunteers and the interesting and varied programs it offers are an asset for North Chatham and nearby communities as well. We hope that the library board will address this problem and find a solution so all of the library patrons can enjoy all the library has to offer. Sincerely, Leona Scarpinato. Sorry.
Vicki, you have an electronic copy of that, or should I come pick up the paper
No,
copy?
I'll email it, okay?
Okay, thank you. I'll reply directly to Lenore.
Thank you.
Is it Lenore or Leonora?
It's Leona. It's Leona.
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 My fault.
Leona.
Mistake.
Leona, okay.
And I'm going to end my report there.
All
Unless
righty.
you have questions for me.
I have a question. Is there any possibility for our board to discuss, I don't know how we do it, that they meet upstairs? Not when the library's open, but maybe an hour and a half beforehand? I know that's tricky.
I didn't understand what you're asking there, Julie. The board or the memoir group?
Well, the board would have to decide whether for this particular group, because they are older, and have requested this, whether we could find a way at least once a month for the library to be open beforehand. I know that, like with the knitting group, that used to happen, but that may have been just because Vicky K was part of it. I don't know how that operated.
And because there was a big table up here, which there
Oh,
isn't
right.
anymore. The knitting group is meeting downstairs. The memoir group, I think, meets twice a month. It would involve moving things. That's all. And certainly she's got like an ELIC program that's coming up. Terry can talk more to this, really, speak more to it. But, you know, we're going to have a lot of social distance. And for even 12 people in this space, even if we moved it all back, there's room downstairs, but there's really not that much room upstairs.
Yeah.
For the time being, it doesn't sound possible.
But that's one of the reasons why in my report, I'll be saying that quite a few of our programs are going to be held at the Malden Bridge Community Center because, you know, it's easy access on one level, and we can space out for social distancing.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I've done programming in other libraries that have had similar, you know, concerns. And, you know, they're trying to get into compliance with ADA. I mean, whether it's installing an elevator or putting an addition on or some kind of way to access their basement space where they have, you know, meeting space available. But, you know, it's a legitimate concern.
Oh, well, it's been an issue for this board forever. We have architectural plans to address it. What we had, and we were getting ready to launch a campaign to raise the money for the elevator when COVID hit. So much like everything else, or not everything, but a lot of what was going on, it was put on hold during COVID. So, but we have the plans in place, and it's just a matter of raising, you know, $300,000+. That's all.
No, hopefully that, you know, can start rolling again. I mean,
Yep.
that would be a good thing to work towards for sure.
Agreed. Would it be possible maybe for them to use the Malden Bridge temporarily till the library has another solution sort of under the umbrella of the library? So they're not losing complete connection? In other words, the library runs programs like the ELIC program at Malden Bridge. So we've done that for years now.
Yeah.
Could it just be, you know, for the time being, at least during COVID, when you need to have the social distancing, which seems to be something we're going to be dealing with for quite a while, I have to say.
Mm.
Too long. Yeah, so we should talk, Vicky, I'll talk to Leonora.
Leona.
Leona.
Leona. Sergey Leona. And what is the other group that uses the downstairs currently?
Knitting.
Knitting. Are they having the same problem, knitting? I'm assuming they might.
No, well, they just go slow. They're not complaining about it. They're happy to be there. There's not as many as they used to have. Obviously, a lot of people are, you know, dropping out of things all over the place.
All right, well, you know, we should let them know, if nothing else, that the Malden Bridge Community Center is an option for them if they think that somehow our space is limiting their attendance.
What's the nature of our relationship, Rick, with Malden Bridge Community Center?
It's informal. There's no MOU or anything like that between the organizations, but they have always allowed us to use their space as needed. So, for example, we've done a fundraiser there, the T-Set fundraiser. ELIC has held programs there, even though they're North Chatham Library programs. They've been held at the Malden Bridge Center. So there's never been a need to formalize the relationship, just because it's been so easy to do.
I think, Rick, a few years ago, there was a signed agreement, which was done through ELIC as a, you know, collaboration kind of thing. And So
Yes.
I don't think it's been updated in several years. I think you're right there, but I don't know.
That agreement was really for funding purposes to make it look like it was coming from two organizations,
Okay,
and therefore making it a more appealing proposal.
At some point, guys, we might want to think about what other short-term options we do have if we don't really know when we're going to be able to start the bigger sort of redesign process that's going to cost 300,000. I do think it's interesting that she gave a couple of other options that might be things we want to kick around. So a chairlift on the stairs. I don't know if there's enough room for a chairlift on the stairs, or a ramp into the back door there. So I don't know if any of those have ever been looked at for feasibility or cost up to this point, but she did bring up good points of things that are more short-term options.
Yep.
Yeah, Christy, you have
we
looked
did-
into
we
all
did-
those things.
We did some of those
In the
quick
past,
studies.
we looked at everything.
Yeah, we did some of those quick studies when we started the redesign, and we, yeah, it's kind of a whole hog thing. I think at this point, if we can allocate other locations, that's a better short-term solution for us versus some sort of Band-Aid, because there really is nothing we can do with the current building, sadly. Yeah.
Yeah, so we looked in, I'll be a little more specific. There is not enough width on the downward stairs for a chairlift. And then secondly, if we wanted to put a ramp to the bulkhead, we would have to dig the bulkhead out, which would probably require moving the septic line and maybe even the septic field. So, because the stairs at the bulkhead are just too steep. And plus we have that garden there that we've been ordered not to touch. So, yes, unfortunately, we did look at some other options that just didn't seem we could bring to fruition. But, everybody just keep brainstorming. Maybe, I don't know. The plans we designed did come up with a second set of stairs on the south side of the building. And maybe that could be a ramp instead. I don't know. We could ask Chris Billingham, maybe. But certainly can't be at the very back of the building.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Vicki, you're all set?
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Because I mean, COVID has just thrown everything so into an uproar, but there is definitely obvious income inequality going on. Is it possible that it is the right time to start raising money for this project?
Well, it has crossed my mind on more than one occasion, and I've been paying attention to all of the Mid-Hudson Library postings, that with all of this federal infrastructure money floating around, that we might be in a position to go after federal dollars that run through the state. So I haven't seen anything that made me think that this is the one to follow up on, but I'm trying to pay attention to that because there is going to be billions of dollars in infrastructure forthcoming.
Rick, I know you've had meetings with someone from Delgado, so you met with Delgado when we met with someone else from his office. I was thinking perhaps now that it's autumn, it would make sense for myself, you, Dale, whoever, a small group to talk with the folks at Mid-Hudson, set up an appointment to talk and at least go through all the funding options that they see, because they're probably doing the tracking of the legislation.
That sounds like a good plan. We've got a couple of things to talk to Mid-Hudson about, so I will try to get that meeting set up. And you, Dale, and myself, is there anybody else that wants to wave their arm up and down to be part of that meeting? Thanks for volunteering, Dale. All right, I will work on getting that meeting set up with Rebecca. Terrific. Shall we move on to the next agenda item, or is there more to discuss here? Okay. Is Chris? Yes, she is. There she is. Hi, Christy. Christy, you want to just give us the big picture financial situation?
Sure. I just started looking at year-to-date August. I did want to back up a little bit because for the last two meetings that we had missed, we had included a revised budget along with the year-to-date actuals for June, and then did the same exact thing with the revised budget and year-to-date actuals for July. I didn't send the August ones yet because like I said, I just started looking through them, but just on the updated budget part, I wanted to just give a quick reminder on that. We had updated the budget to take into account funds for the employee retention credit for the 941Xs that I refiled back in March, I want to say. We just got our first check from the IRS back for one of those retention credits for $4,500. So I'm expecting 2 more checks, but I've got to call the IRS to see where they are in the process with that. So the budget was updated for that for 3 quarters worth of time. We had updated it for some of the additional fundraiser conversations that we had been having at the time, inclusive of the garden tour and Books and Blooms. And something else.
Pig roast.
Yes, the pig roast. That's what it was. So that was updated in the budget. And then we also put in the cost for the website rebuild, redevelopment costs in there. So I know it's been a really long time since we talked about updating the budget. And I just wanted to give you guys a reminder of what I've done now a couple months back.
So when I looked through the July report, there was nothing in there that caused me any alarm at all. So
yeah,
we seem to be in good shape.
We do. We seem to be in fine shape at this point. And as I'm looking through the August numbers just today, same thing. There is nothing big that's standing out that is big and scary or unexpected in any way, shape, or form. Total fundraisers for the year, inclusive of the most recent one, the garden tour, is, let's see, $16,196. So that's pretty good. That does include $10,000 from the appeal letter, but we weren't sure what we were going to be able to do for all of the other fundraisers. So overall, that's a really good number, and we still have a few months left.
Good deal.
Yeah. Yep.
And plus, we will get an appeal letter out again before the end of the calendar year, preferably between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so some of those dollars will flow into this year's budget as well.
Great. That's good news. Outside of that, our corporate and foundation grants are right exactly where we had thought they were going to be, around 12,000. The arts and culture grant, ELIC grants came in as expected, so we're good on those. Everything else other than Town of Chatham is relatively small. We did just recently get a check from MHLS for our local library services aid, which came in a little higher than we had in the original budget, which is good. And then outside of that, from an expense perspective, we're right where we should be for the year. Fingers crossed, nothing huge has blown up or broken at this point. So we seem to be in relatively good shape so far.
Good. Thank you, Christy. Are there any questions for Christy before we move on?
One last thing, right now is about the time we're going to be starting for 2022 budgeting. So you'll start to get probably some annoying pings and emails from me as I start to try to build up what the numbers are going to look like for next year. So sorry in advance.
They're not annoying. They're just important.
And that's it. I'm done.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for Christy? Okay, terrific. Thanks so much, Christy. Mark isn't with us to give us a buildings and grounds report, but last I spoke to him, there was nothing on that agenda either. Is that, to your knowledge, Vicky, is that correct?
Yes, nothing big. We sort of need another handyman to do little things. If you guys know of some, Rick, Mark and I have talked about that. I don't mean the things that Mark takes care of, but sometimes we too many things, like the gutters are, you know, packed with stuff and there's no one to, Mark is really too busy and what's his name is, you know, he's too busy to do the things that he used to do, that we used to hire him to do.
Matt.
Yeah, thank you.
Huh.
So, I mean, there's other people around. We just need
Yeah,
to find
I mean,
somebody else.
Is Ponds and Beyond somebody we could hire to do the gutters? Because we should really
Expensive.
do that.
Too
Well,
expensive.
All right. I'll talk with Mark about that and see what we can get done. Okay,
Thanks.
that was buildings and grounds. Terry, do you want to give us an ELIC update for us? And I
Yeah,
do
I
want
just-
to,
Rick,
You
I
want
was just
to-
wondering.
Yep.
Did you mean to skip over fundraising committee and marketing committee on the agenda?
nope, I just don't have the agenda in front of me, sorry.
Oh,
All right.
okay. I just was trying to follow along.
I was just kind of going by the size of the committee or its role. All right, Dale, do you want to fill us in on the fundraising committee, please?
Sure. Not a lot with fundraising to report. We just had the garden tour, as you mentioned. Randy did a great job. That whole team was amazing. We made about $1,700 all profit from that. About 67 people, I think, attended, she said. It was really well received. People really loved it. They were into the idea of it. They thought the size was right. They loved that it was vegetable gardens. They really had a good time. The feedback was phenomenal. The gardeners were great. Everybody was really cooperative. We're going to set up kind of a recap meeting and kind of think about what we can do differently next year. But I think for a first time out, I would say it was a big success. It went very, very well. People were kind of happy just to get back into the community and see other bodies and do something in real time. So that was very, very well received. Upcoming, we have the quilt auction, which will be on eBay again, starting October 1st for a month. And then we'll be rolling into the holiday wreath sale in November, December. And you'll be hearing more about that probably at the next meeting. And then at some point in October, we'll do another fundraiser committee meeting and just sort of talk about plans for next year and sort of map out what that looks like, just so we can give you, Christy, maybe a better idea of what we're looking at doing, what worked this year, what we want to carry forward, what we want to kind of tweak and change, and kind of what 2022 looks like versus this year. But kind of the wreath thing will be the last sale / event for the year now.
All right.
But all good.
Dale, when did you say the quilt event?
It's going up October 1st.
Starts
it'll be
October
up-
1st. Okay.
Yeah, and it'll be up for 30 days. So we'll have more info. I'll be sending an email out about that in the next week or so.
Mhm.
Called it an auction. Is it a raffle or an auction?
It'll be on eBay.
Oh, okay.
It's done via eBay. Mhm. It used to be a raffle back when we could meet in person. It's now online. Yeah.
Kim, you want to jump?
Did Rick ever get a major shout out for how well that pig roast went?
Well, we missed 2 meetings. No, please.
Great.
Thank you. Can you quickly recap that? Thank you.
Me? No, him.
No,
Sorry.
not you. Not you.
I can't remember the numbers, but I seem to think we raised about $1,600 or netted
Yeah.
1,600 thereabouts. And I think we had over 100 people. We had 60. Who said 60? We had a lot of people buy dinners that evening. So yeah, and I think it's easily replicated in future years. You know, I think it might be one of fundraisers that doesn't get tired.
Yeah, no, that was great. And I think there's a lot of flexibility with that into, does it become a steak dinner? Does it, I mean, whatever it may become, I think there's a lot of room to even change it around if you want to do it more than once a year. I think it was great. That really worked out well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and I've got almost $2,500 in here for the pig roast.
Yeah, that was over two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay!
You have to remember though, Dale, that the pig was donated. I don't know that steaks would be donated.
Well, whatever it may be, whatever it may be, it might be a broccoli dinner. Who knows? But I'm just saying,
That's
We've
very
laid-
true.
we've laid
That-
very
that
good
was-
groundwork now to play with it in the future. So.
That was a fairly pricey donation, so I want to urge all of you to go to the Kinderhook Farmers Market and to buy some pork on Saturday mornings and to buy some pork from Lover's Leap Farm and thank them
Amen.
for the pig roast.
Yes.
That would be great for those of you that are meat eaters.
It was extremely generous of them. And also, I mean, it was a delicious dinner. Rick, you organized it well. It was great. And, oh God, it just went right out of my head. No, the other thing I was gonna say went out of my head. But
I'm
it
not
was
the-
organized.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
one
no,
other-
I know what it was gonna be, was $2,500 is, in the scope of what our fundraisers make. That became like a top dollar event
Mhm.
without, I mean, you were running around like a nut. But when you compare it to like doing Books and Blooms or something, it wasn't months of a time, like when you do the balance of labor versus payback, it's a really good fundraiser.
Yeah, a pig roast is a pretty straightforward event for us at this point. We've just done another 6 this summer, so.
There we go. And I'm not trying to minimize the work that went into it at all.
No, but I think next year we might use one of the apps for the reservations or something like that,
Oh.
just to make it a little more straightforward and streamlined. But other than that, it was pretty straightforward. So
I think it was great. I think, and one last note on fundraising, we did decide, I think you all saw the note, we decided to cancel the Books and Bloom idea for the fall, which we were going to try to push that through as a fall idea, which just seemed a little unsure at this point. So hopefully we can reconvene in the spring, maybe as a traditional Books and Blooms in May. We'll see. TBD.
yeah. Yep. Yep,
I just
Julie.
want to make one comment that I think that Dale, you and your committee having a good variety of events is really important. The pig roast was wonderful. What I saw at the garden tour was something like that builds community as well as raising money for the library.
That's
And
right.
Books and Blooms does. And in this COVID time, that's not an easy thing to be doing.
Yeah.
No.
So as you think of fundraisers, I think, all of them don't need to be about community building. But it is a wonderful aspect for at least, once or twice a year.
No, that
Well-
was huge, I think, and it was unintended for a garden tour. We really weren't even thinking about that so much, but so many people commented, it's so nice to see people. It's so nice to visit new gardens and meet new people. It became an unintended plus that we didn't really even think about so much from the beginning. So yes, I fully agree.
So ideally, the pig roast would be done with tables set up in the backyard of the library, but we chose to do it as a takeaway dinner because of COVID. But in future years, and vaccinations taking hold, we might be able to do it as more of a community event as well.
Agreed. Yeah.
All righty. Anything else for fundraising or any questions? Hearing none. Dottie, you're up for communications.
Okay. I think the biggest thing to report on is since June, Vicki and myself and Linda Morawski have been working as a small committee with Suzanne Trevelyan to develop a new website. She started out by giving us 27 pages of what essentially was all the content on our current website and asked us to edit it and to add things. And we handed her back 30 pages. So she worked on that. And now we're at the point of she's giving us some ideas for designs. You know, this is a short story because there's been a lot of back and forth and questions and clarifications. And do we want this or do we want that? That, you know, it's been a really lovely creative process with Suzanne. So we're kind of coming down to, I don't think we're in the last quarter mile yet, but we're getting close. As we go along, I think, you know, at some point I'm going to pull in maybe some people from the marketing committee and maybe a couple of other folks to take a look before we say, yes, this is it, for any feedback on the website and play with it and navigate through it and see what you think and give us feedback. I have to say it's been a pleasure working with Vicki and Linda. And Linda, I'm calling Linda Lightning Fingers Linda because she could almost type as fast as Vicki and I can talk. So it was a real pleasure. But that's getting into the final stages. So thank you. I think that's it.
All right, any questions for Dottie on the communications front? Sorry, I'm dealing with a dog accident. That's why my video is off.
Be eager to see it, Dottie. I think it's great.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
No, not the
Very
dog,
high.
Rick. The website. I'm saying to Dottie.
Yes.
Well, yes, we worked really hard this summer, so I think the product's going to look really good.
Dottie, do you have a
Terrific.
sense of when it will be done?
I would say certainly into October, maybe early October.
All righty,
Wow.
looking forward to it very much. So, all right, whoever has the agenda in front of them, tell me what's next, please.
Yep. There's the next one of the Arts and Culture Subcommittee.
Oh.
Oh,
okay.
actually, no, I take it back. The Marketing Committee.
Well,
We
that
just
was just what.
But communications
we
was
just
marketing.
did.
That
Sorry.
was-
Okay.
yeah.
It's really that Rick called it communications, but it was marketing.
Okay. In that case, it's arts and culture.
Okay.
You go, Julie.
Okay, so first, all of our programs for arts and culture have been reverted to Zoom because of the current situation. And I think most of you know, but not everybody here, that I am a cautionary tale because a little over a week ago, I tested positive for COVID, and I have been vaccinated and as careful as anybody I know. And I'm still dealing with, fatigue and a few other things, but luckily because of the vaccine had a less of a case. So I'm all for the Zoom meetings right at the moment. We have 2 programs coming up in October, and I'll be sending you emails about them. The first is October 3rd, a free program, a group of photographers from Hawaii who are showing their photographs of the land and human relationship to the land in Hawaii. It's a chance for us to travel there without actually going. And some of the photographers will be on board to talk about their work and have an audience discussion about it. And it's pretty interesting. They work together as a group, and one of the things I have in the back of my mind is, not that I would start it, but maybe around here there's a group that would like to do photography together in some of the ways that these people do.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, Dale, if you send me information that would work, maybe even just a picture of the quilt at the 2 October meetings, and then we have one events, one in November as well. I could show a picture and tell people how to sign up for.
So
or-
what
or
are the
how to-
dates? What are the dates for that, Julie? You would want that?
Okay, October 3rd is the
Okay.
first program,
Okay.
and October 24th is the
Okay.
second. And
So
I'll
let me-
describe that program.
So let me just work, I'll work with Dottie and we'll get a flyer put together because she wrote a descriptive text piece and we can combine that and get something. You want something printed, right?
I think that I can, just share the screen and people can see
Okay.
for a little bit.
Would you want a takeaway thing that people could actually physically take with them? Is that good? I think that's always, I prefer that, I think, sometimes.
But how do you do that on
What do you
Zoom?
mean a takeaway thing?
Oh, it's Zoom. Sorry, I forgot you were in person. I was thinking, sorry, you're on Zoom. Forget it. Yes.
Well, we still might want to put posters around though.
Well, what I can do, Julie, is give you the PDF and you can forward
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Yes,
All right,
and if I have the PDF, then I can just show it.
We'll do that. October
Oh,
3rd. Got
fine.
it. Yes.
Yep. And so that one's free, and then the next two are through our grant. Sorry about this. Applying for the new grant for next year guidelines just came out, which is very late. Usually you have to apply in September. And I'll be working with my committee on that, but we've already chosen some really wonderful programs for next year, and all of the artists have agreed they'd like to do a program.
Cool.
Which is cool. Yeah. So you'll be getting information from me about the programs. I hope you attend and also share the information with others. And then I want to just mention two things, and I feel a little funny mentioning them because I haven't done anything with it yet to really think it through. But one of my daughters deals with disability and gave me a book, or told me to purchase a book and donate it to the library. And I read it. It's called Sitting Pretty. And the library now has it, and it's about inclusivity and the disability movement. It's written as a memoir, and but she touches on so many issues, and there's so much more than just accessibility. And so I'm really taking that to heart and thinking that at some point, it's a very diverse group that you're talking about, but it might be good to have a kind of a little community group to, just to get advice, to talk about issues that people face and where the library could play a part. And in addition to that, I took a really wonderful webinar that Mid-Hudson Library System offered with a terrific professor, and it was titled "When Anti-Racism When Reading Is Not Enough." And it was about Rebecca Smith, Aldrich Smith did it with her, and it was about, how libraries can be more proactive in terms of anti-racism, which is a great, important issue for me. So anyway, I'm going to be looking through the resources and hopefully talking to Vicki about some of these ideas, and if it makes sense, bring to the board some of these ideas. But I think I would put out there that at some point it would be good for our board to have a little more diversity in terms of color, if we could.
Well,
So-
Dale has the only person I know who suggested a minority as a potential board candidate, but I'm just not sure the time is right. Dale will tell me when that is.
Okay.
She was not interested right now. No.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what we can keep doing,
Yeah, just to be on the lookout. So anyway, that's it for now. More to come.
What's the event on October 24th, Julie?
Excuse me?
What, the event on October 24th?
On
I missed-
October 24th, it's, well, I'll mention the two that are coming up. Okay, so there's October 3rd, there's October 24th is Elizabeth Zunan, she's a children's book illustrator who's now also become an author. Her books are wonderful, and she'll be doing a PowerPoint talking about this book about her grandfather. And it's about his farm in Costa Rica where he raised the beans for cacao. And how she did the art and how she found his story. She was raised on the Ivory Coast. She is black and full of energy, really wonderful. So that's that program. And we had talked about trying to contact the school, but now I'm trying to think of ways in which we might get grandparents and grandkids interested in this program, and maybe writing some stories for each other about their lives, the way that hers is a model. But I got a little waylaid with the COVID. So that's the 24th, and then on the 14th of November, one of our neighbors, Alex Marr, who lives at the end of the road here, is a documentary filmmaker, and she is going to show a film and talk about it and have an audience discussion. Her film is American Mystic, about alternative religions and the practitioners in our own country, raising some pretty interesting stories and issues. So spirituality from different angles, unusual ones. You want to add anything to that, Kim? Okay.
Great.
So that's it. Oh, there is one other issue. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going on and on. But I need to find out what our party, you had said, Rick, that there would be a December party when we have our annual board meeting. But I'm guessing that that does not replace an annual community party?
No, it was supposed to be an annual community party, around the year-end holiday season, a Happy New Year sort of party. And we would have invited the public gratis. But we just, with COVID, I have no idea what's going to be the story in December.
All right, next year, let's communicate, because the committee came up with a nice idea, when COVID wasn't such a question. But then we didn't have a date that we could really do it in December until the week before Christmas because of the board party. And our party would have involved families and children. So
When you say our,
what?
when you say our, who are you referencing? The Arts and
Okay,
Culture
so
Committee?
The Arts and Culture Committee came up with an idea, but we discovered there was no time in December that made sense for us to have the party, because all the weekends were taken until the week before Christmas, which is too soon for people to not be wrapping presents and things. So anyway, I think we're gonna shelve that program for now. But I think in advance next time, if we're gonna have a board holiday program and the Arts and Culture Committee has generally done the program, then we should at least coordinate and discuss it, but not now,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, and again, I have no idea what December is going to look like and what's possible and what's not.
Right.
So yes, we'll discuss. Let's stay in touch about this going forward. I guess is the best I can offer.
Okay, thank you, I'm
Terrific.
done.
All right, any questions for Julie? No, moving on, we'll go to ELIC with Terry.
Thank you. Thank you. And Judy, I'm going to send you a copy of my report.
Okay.
I'll copy Randy on it, so you don't have to take such furious notes.
I'm doing a good job.
Oh, I'm sure you are, but you probably need a little break. Anyway, just give you some updates on our upcoming programs for September and October. On September 22nd, we're going to have a Zoom called Cultivating a Plant-Based Diet. And hopefully you've seen some of the publicity that Vicki has been sending out. That's with Karen Mort, who resides in Columbia County, but works with Cooperative Extension in Albany County. And she's come up with 2 really terrific recipes. We're going to be sharing the ingredient list and also the list of cooking equipment people need to have on hand, so they can cook right along with Karen in their kitchens, or they could just watch and try it later on. And then on October 2nd, it's going to be a busy weekend. We're doing the fall foliage walk, and that was originally supposed to be in late September, but we had to change the date. And Carol Hegman and Karen McGraw are going to lead 2 different level walks, one easy, one moderate, at the Wilson M. Powell Wildlife Sanctuary, which used to be the old Chatham Bird Sanctuary. So if you want to get out and see some of the wonderful things that area has to offer, that might be something. That's a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. And then on October 12th, I can't remember what day of the week that is, at 10 a.m., Leona, whatever you say, Rick.
Leona.
Have different names now. She's going to lead a program on how to knit a hat on a loom. And that's going to be held at the Malden Bridge Community Center. And looms and yarn were purchased using ELIC funds. And she's also going to share information about this really cool program called Hatsgiving, which is a national charity that donates hats to pediatric cancer centers across the country. Apparently this is a group she's familiar with. So she's assured me that I went to a quilt in a day 30 years ago and I still haven't finished it. She assures me I'll be able to do this. So this will be a real test case for me. But that's October 12th at Malden Bridge. And then on October 27th at 10 a.m., we have a program called Putting Your Garden to Bed. And we have a master gardener with Cooperative Extension in Columbia Green Counties that's going to lead that. And initially we were going to be offering that at MBCC, but we've reached out to that master gardener to see if she would do it via Zoom. And we'll make a decision about that soon. But I think we might be leaning towards the Zoom end of it.
Yeah.
We also have programming set up for November and December. In fact, the 2 programs in November are both exercise programs, are going to be repeat programs. That's going to be offered through Zoom. We have a sleep program coming up in December. We hope to offer again at Malden Bridge Community Center. And we'll have to wait and see if a Zoom is more practical. And then we have our last program of this Wellness for Us series in January, and that's called Buying and Selling on the Internet. That's January 12th. So we're pretty much all set with our programs for the balance of the year. And still revamping the program task checklist and the media outlet list. I understand from talking to Vicki that that list that I originally received was pretty lengthy, and it's really only maybe 10 or 11 outlets that they use. So I want to just kind of get that new revised list put together and attach it to the program task checklist. And this is being developed to help people that step up and offer to chair some of these programs. It's kind of just a checklist to make sure they're covering all the bases, all aspects of what they have to do for that program from start to finish. And then I also applied, one of the other things is the committee talked about the possibility of having an electronic digital outdoor sign that could help promote multiple events. I know it's a concern when we have events that kind of overlap almost or within a week of each other. We didn't know if you had ever looked into that, what the feasibility would be, but it might be kind of a neat thing to think about. And then there seems to be a lot of confusion over the name of what ELIC stands for, especially the E. When Leona went to the Banker Greene County celebratory event where we got our check, they had us as enriching or enhancing, I think, and we're really enriching learning, increasing knowledge. So it is a little confusing for people. And we're going to be talking about that and seeing if there might not be a better name to explain what we really are doing with the ELIC program. So that's on the list to think about, to mull over. I just submitted a grant to the Adirondack Mountain Club, the Mid-Hudson chapter. They had a proposals for libraries, which was sent to us in July. It's a small grant just for $400 and basically to provide us with some additional program supplies that could be loaned out through the library system to support our grant that we just got funding for next year's round of programming called How to Be More Eco-Friendly. So we're looking at maybe some magazine subscriptions or some books for both adults and youth, or maybe some equipment. Vicki had suggested like an ant farm, or we're thinking about maybe even a microscope or something like that we can use to enhance and supplement some of the programming that we're going to offer next year. And speaking of that, on September 20th, Carol and I are going to head up a little, a kind of a focus group almost. We've invited some local environmental groups or organizations to help us look at some of the things we might offer as part of that How to Be More Eco-Friendly series for next year. We have ideas. We want to bounce those ideas off of them and then see if they can maybe supplement some of our program offerings and, kind of really tie into some of the things that are happening throughout the county and in the greater Capital District area. So that's going to be September 20th at 4:00 in the afternoon, hopefully outside in the garden, weather permitting. Otherwise, we will be trekking downstairs. Then our next ELIC committee meeting is September 24th at the library. And then not to put a damper on things, but we've already had news of one departure tonight from library staff, but I've been really looking at the amount of time that's involved and that I feel needs to be dedicated to this position to really do a great job. And I really don't have the time to devote to ELIC like it deserves. And so I have tendered my resignation, but I am going to stay on through the end of this year. I'm going to make sure that all the programming that, has been solidified or finalized under my watch, that I'll see that through. But I did share this decision earlier last month with the executive committee. And of course, I did talk to my ELIC committee and I did talk to Vicki. And, it wasn't met with a lot of enthusiasm when I shared it, especially with committee members, but I'm just being really honest. And I have other things going on in my life right now that I really need to concentrate on. One of them is my health. I can relate to what Julie is saying, not that I've had COVID, but I've had some other health issues. So, you're a great group. It's a wonderful library. I have said all along that I really feel that the person that spearheads this committee should be somebody from your community, or maybe somebody from the board that might want to step up and help. Donnie's been like our emeritus person on our committee. So I just, I know I'd be happy to meet with the executive committee, whoever, to kind of look at things, but it's like I said, for me, it's time, and I just don't have the time to devote to it that it really deserves. So.
Great. Thank you, Terry. Just so everybody knows, including Terry, Carol has sent me an email regarding this and asked that I call a meeting of ELIC and the executive committee together, which I intend to do.
Okay.
Certainly in enough time to deal with Terry's year-end situation.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to leave you all in the lurch. And I know Carol had just given up that big responsibility. So I wanted to give you time to be able to deal with that. So I appreciate the opportunity to involve with your group. You're a great group of people. So I wish you all well. And, so thank you.
Terry, I have to say you've been doing a great job.
Yes.
Really.
I
I've
second
been
that.
very impressed.
I
with the
agree.
topic and doing
Well, you know,
comments on the board at the board meetings.
timing is everything, you know. I mean, it's just my husband, who I love dearly, Wyatt, for him to come out and say that I'm working harder now that I'm retired than when I wasn't, speaks volumes to me. So you know, it's I truthfully retired February 1st, and I don't feel retired. So some of that is my own doing, but a lot of it is out of my hands. So you know, I just need to take responsibility for myself and advocate for myself. So, you know, who's to say down the road, you know, I might not have, you know, I might have time again, but, you know, at this point, I just, you know, I have to be really honest with myself and with you, because I don't like to do things halfway.
Right, right. Well, Terry, thank you. And we will be following up on this and figuring out a new course.
Okay, great. And I'll help however I can. So I do intend on being able to, I hope to be able to attend all of your future board meetings. And like I said, to see all my responsibilities through at the end, until the end of the year.
Terrific, thank you. Any questions for Terry about ELIC? Any suggestions for a new name besides ELIC? Because I know we all love ELIC just so much.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that might be, you know, it could almost be a fun contest in a way. I don't know, or name group or name that, whatever. We could have some fun with it. It could be an alphabet soup of sorts. I don't know, but it was pretty funny. I don't know if Vicky saved the envelope that the check came in from the Bank of Green County, but it was really, they did a great number on the name. So the check was good, but the name was wrong. And the check went out to the North Chatham Free Library, so that wasn't an issue. It was just the way it was addressed on the envelope.
Yeah, it's been problematic from the get-go, and we just have not been able to figure out a better route to go. So we'll keep working on that as well. All right, thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Terry about ELIC besides the name? No. All right,
Thank you for putting this together. I mean, I'm impressed. I did write down, notwithstanding your offer to send me the list. You've got a lot going on.
Well, it's a great group. And, you know, the other concern, and something I've been talking to them about now since I took over from Carol, and really Carol was the glue that held a lot of it together, along with, you have some really dedicated volunteers on this committee, but the numbers are shrinking, you know, when it comes to really active people on the ELIC group. And we, you know, my concern is we can't keep going back to the same handful of people to chair these things all the time. We need to get new blood, to use that phrase, or, you know, new ideas. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to approach community groups, you know, dealing with environmental issues, to kind of maybe there might be somebody there that lives in the northern part of the county that might be interested in working more closely on a whole host and range of educational outreach programs, you know, for seniors. But that's one of the things we talked about doing. If you had the Books and Blooms, we might have a table there, you know, to kind of try to attract volunteers for the ELIC program, for the library in general. But, you know, so we're trying to think of ways to entice people, to get them hooked or draw them in. So if you have any ideas, or if you know anybody that might be interested, that likes planning events and learning new things and working with, you know, in a small group setting, you know, share their names with us. It's definitely a concern that I've identified. And, you know, it was also one of the reasons why I was delaying my departure, because, you know, it's just going to be the same small group of people. So if we want to build that number.
Yep.
All righty, terrific. What's next on the agenda, folks?
Long-range plan.
Dottie, we don't have an update, do we?
No.
Okay. But just to Julie's points earlier about dealing with disability and dealing with racial issues. I think that when we do our next round of updating the comprehensive plan or the 5-year plan, whatever we want to call it, we need to put those right in the middle of the mix.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah, and let me just say one more thing about that, Rick.
sure.
Toward the end of the anti-racism webinar, one of the librarians, one of the participants asked, you know, if you live in a community which is 90% white and 10% people of color, what do you do? And the professor's answer was, you concentrate on the 10%. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I wish we had 10%.
I wish we did too. Yeah.
Okay, well, we will put it front and center when we go through our update of the 5-year plan. And I think that's incredibly important. So no matter how limited we are, I think we really need to, pay attention to it. So, okay, what's next on the agenda for someone who has it up in front of them?
There is nothing next.
Nominating.
Oh, nominating?
On
Oh,
the backside.
sorry. Whoops.
So I continue to try and round up another Malden Bridge member of our board. It's very slow going. Her schedule is busy. It makes me wonder if she can actually take on this role, but I will continue to pursue it because she hasn't said no yet.
Okay.
And maybe we'll get around that no. But I do think having somebody from Malden Bridge would be very good for us. If we can't have ethnic diversity, maybe we can at least go for geographic diversity as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else that anybody else needs to bring to the board or wants to bring to the board? Vicky has her hand up.
I have,
Dottie.
yeah.
Okay, Vicky first, then Dottie.
I was remiss in thanking Liz. Where'd she go? There she is. You moved from my top left to my bottom right for all the help that she gave during the summer program. I mean, lots of things just fell apart, and Liz was not the thing that fell apart, even through her sister's death, through her Dan's surgery. She came here and was here. And because of that, I actually got 2 days of vacation because she was here and met those people. I mean, I really, you were a great, great asset. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Oh, thank you, Vicky. We had a good time. That woman who came and filled in for the classes was great. Her kids were great. We just had a wonderful time doing the classes.
Good deal. Good deal. Thank you, Liz. Dottie, what do you got for us?
Yes, I don't know if I want to bring this up, thinking the library might want to be involved in this. October 16th, which was the original date for the Autumn Books and Blooms, North Chatham, the community still is going to hold an event that day. Doris Appel has been spearheading it. I have flyers to hand out. What's going to happen is everyone that wants to is going to have a lawn sale in their own home. There'll be some sales at the church. The fire company is going to do a lunch. One of the things I'm working on is doing a display of quilts upstairs in the sanctuary of the church. You see this happen from time to time. Quilts are hung over the pews or hung in some way that people can see them. Dale, I'm thinking that might be an occasion to hang or put a spotlight on the quilt that's being auctioned and with eBay. So it's going to happen. I don't know what involvement the library might want. It would have to be probably an outside kind of thing, whether it's a bake sale or whether it's a table to, as Terry was just saying, let people know about the library, look for volunteers, that kind of thing. But I wanted to alert you all to that is going to be happening. And if we want some involvement, that's the day.
What was that date, Dottie?
October 16th.
Okay, thanks.
Linda, is there any chance that that the books are segregated enough that we could put out tables of books, if nothing else, that day?
We probably could. I've been working down in the basement, and I've boxed 75 boxes worth of the called library books. And tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I have someone coming from Bulk Book Warehouse, and they're taking the 75 boxes. The basement looks a lot different than it did a couple weeks ago or a month ago. But I've saved some that I think are saleable and that would hold until next spring for the books and blooms. I've got them in bins, and yeah, we could put a table together.
Okay, I'll work with you on that, Linda, for October 16th, because Doris has been calling me about this and I feel compelled to be good to Doris.
Okay, yeah, we could put a tent and some books under there, and we could do that on a small scale.
I think that's probably our best bet for being engaged, Dottie.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. And I didn't know if there would be books because I saw all the boxes that are ready to go for tomorrow. So I'm glad to hear that Linda held some back. That's great.
That's awesome that you set up the book warehouse thing, Linda, as well. Thank you.
Linda is an unsung hero with
All the
books and blooms.
bins over to the right are filled, but it's an ongoing resource for the books that get culled from the shelves. So we're not, hopefully this is a solution.
Yeah, seems like a good one.
I'll let you know tomorrow when the books are gone. I'll let you know.
All right, well, let's stay in touch about October 16th then, okay? Yeah. Anything else for the board? Any other thoughts?
There's a topic here called Executive Committee. Any report from the Executive Committee?
We don't have much to report.
Okay.
We have not met recently that I recall. There hasn't been a need for us to meet that I can recall. So there is no report from the Executive Committee, which also passes as the Nominating and Governance Committee.
And the last item on the agenda then is changing the board meeting date. The next library board meeting is on October 13th at 7 p.m., but it says here changing the board meeting date. I'm not sure what the source of that one is.
That's
Well,
Wednesday.
That had to do with you have meetings Thursday nights related to the town board.
Yes. So I have to attend town board meetings now, which happen on Thursday evenings twice a month. And invariably it conflicts with the library board meeting. So I would like to propose that we move the meetings to Wednesday nights. So the first time would be October 13th, a Wednesday. Did people have any problems or concerns about that?
No.
Nope.
Nope, that's okay.
So we've moved to Wednesdays. That's, this just needs to be a sense of the board. We just need to make sure that change happens on the website, Vicki and Dottie. And I will see you all on the 13th. Hopefully I'll actually see you on the 3rd at Julie's program before that, and any ELIC program that's being offered up before the 13th. But I will see you on the 13th at the latest.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Thank you all. Good to see you.
Terrific.
Meeting-
Thank you.
Bye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.